It's Wednesday, February 25th. In the headlines, Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness calls for dialogue between Cuba and the United States. In business news, Jamaica's debt rises to $2.2 trillion. Regionally, Caricom chair urges regional support for Cuba amid crisis. And in sports, Montego Bay Sports Complex set for major upgrade. This is the news on PBC Jamaica. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness is calling for constructive dialogue between Cuba and the United States, aimed at de-escalation, reform, and regional stability. Speaking at the 50th regular meeting of a Conference of Heads of Government of Caricom in St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Holness said Cuba, as a Caribbean neighbor, has contributed significantly to the region through medical and educational support, but is now facing severe economic hardship.
We believe there is space, perhaps more space now than in years past, for pragmatic engagement that protects the Cuban people from any further deterioration in their circumstances and instead promotes national and regional prosperity.
He said there should be no doubt that Jamaica stands firmly for democracy, human rights, political accountability, and open market-based economies. He cautions, though, that if left unchecked, the crisis will affect other territories.
Its doctors and teachers have served across our region. Its people are part of our shared history. But today, the Cuban people face severe economic hardship, energy shortages, and growing humanitarian strain.
The developments come amid increased U.S. pressure on Caribbean nations to reconsider its ties with Cuba and China, as regional leaders continue to advocate for maintaining the Caribbean zone as a zone of peace. On January 29, 2026, U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order in which he authorized the imposition of new tariffs on imports from countries that directly or indirectly supply oil to the government of Cuba. The executive order is accompanied by a White House fact sheet outlining the administration's national security and foreign policy rationale.
It will affect migration, security, and economic stability across the Caribbean basin. It is therefore important that we carefully consider this matter and take collective action.
Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness has made it clear that Caricom is not and has never claimed to be a political union. Addressing the ceremonial opening of the 50th Ordinary Meeting of Heads of Government in St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Holness said the regional bloc is an association of sovereign states, not a supranational authority with a single foreign policy.
Caricom is not, and has never claimed to be, a political union. Our treaty does not mandate a singular foreign policy or a supranational authority. And because we are sovereign states, each accountable to our own electorates, we will at times assess risks differently, sequence priorities differently, or interpret geopolitical opportunities differently. That is not evidence of the weakness of our association. This is the natural expression of sovereign democracies navigating an increasingly turbulent global environment.
Dr. Holness argued that differences among member states should not be seen as factors, but as strengths.
Variations in national perspectives is not a liability to be feared. It is a resource to be harnessed. The measure of our integration should therefore not be uniformity of position, but effectiveness of cooperation. Indeed, our diversity of economies, political traditions, development strategies, and governance approaches is one of Caricom's most underappreciated strengths.
The Prime Minister further urged Caricom nations to adapt to shifting global power dynamics, embrace digital transformation, and strengthen the Caribbean single market and economy to boost resilience and competitiveness. A new survey by Jamaicans for Justice and the Michael University College reveals strong awareness of rights among residents in 10 marginalized Kingston communities, but troubling misconceptions and low trust in state institutions. The 2025 findings show some believe economic statutes determines access to rights, while confidence in government and police remains low, compared to higher trust in churches and civil society groups. The details in this report from Danita Rodney.
According to the survey, 61.3% of participants showed high awareness, 31.5% moderate awareness, and just over 7% low awareness. However, the research conducted by Michael's Institute of Technological and Educational Research found widespread misconceptions about who is entitled to rights.
Many respondents mistakenly associate certain rights with employment status, political affiliation, or social class. These misconceptions foster exclusion, and undermine the universality of rights. So things like personal links increase rights. Things like voting for your party secures your rights.
Project lead Sandra Gray Alvaranga explained that several misconceptions surfaced, including the belief that police can arbitrarily detain idle youth.
Another one is that police can arbitrarily round up idle youth. And one of the things that came out of the focus group that stood out, which I've highlighted here, is that a gentleman said, right is a paper thing. It look good on the document, but it's not real.
Reported for the news on PBCJ, I am Danita Rodney.
The Ministry of Culture has announced the list of 2026 Reggae Gold Awards and Hall of Fame inductee, a tribute to the island's iconic music legacy. Marlon Samuels has the details.
15 reggae icons, including Pete Ashbourne, broadcast journalist Elaine Wint, and songwriter-producer Mikey Bennett, will be honored at the awards ceremony on February 27th at the National Arena. Reggae legend Ken Booth will be inducted into the Jamaica Music Museum Hall of Fame.
When I fall in love, there will be no other, only you and me in this so wide world.
Highlighting reggae's global influence, Kawa, a Chinese band, will be among the performers at the ceremony. Veteran bassist Frankie Campbell will receive the Prime Minister's Lifetime Achievement Award for his role in shaping Jamaica's musical sound. Reggae's messenger, Luciano, will take center stage, performing with the Reggae Symphony Orchestra.
This event highlights reggae's enduring power to inspire and unify, both locally and worldwide. It promises soulful performances and a celebration of Jamaica's musical soul. For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
Time now for our Reggae Month feature, Reggae Facts, with Joan Andrea Hutchinson.
Reggae Facts. Reggae was added as a category to the Grammy Awards in 1984. The nominees: Capture Life by Peter Tosh, Stepping Out by Steel Pulse, Reggae Nights by Jimmy Cliff, Anthem by Black Uhuru, and King Yellow Man by Yellow Man. Reggae's first Grammy Award was won by Black Uhuru, presented at the 27th staging of the awards in February 1985. Yellow Man was the first DJ nominated for a Grammy. Judy Mott, she was the first woman nominated for a Grammy in the reggae category for her album Working Wonders in 1986. In 1992, Shabba Ranks became the first DJ to win a Grammy Award with his album As Raw as Ever. The next year, he won again with his album Naked. The first female to win a Grammy in the reggae category was Coffee in 2020 for her EP Rapture, the first EP to win a Grammy Award. The first non-Jamaican reggae act to win a Grammy Award was Soulja in 2022 with their album Beauty in the Silence. Reggae Facts was brought to you with the kind support of the Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, JCAP, valuing your musical creativity.
Denise Williams brings us the business report.
Welcome to today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing you the developments shaping markets, capital access, and business decision-making across Jamaica and the region. Let's get into the stories that matter. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service reports that the national debt rose by 14 billion Jamaican dollars to 2.2 trillion Jamaican dollars in December last year compared with March. It says the debt is expected to increase further to about 2.4 trillion, or roughly 69% of gross domestic product by March this year. That rise is being attributed to the need to borrow more than the originally budgeted 158.4 billion Jamaican dollars, largely due to the economic and infrastructure impact of Hurricane Melissa. The debt is now projected to stand at $2.4 trillion, or 68.9% of GDP by the end of the current fiscal year. Meanwhile, the ministry says 1% depreciation of the Jamaican dollar against the US dollar would add about 13 billion to the country's debt stock. The ministry explains that this is because just over 60% of Jamaica's total debt is denominated in US dollars. Central Bank Governor Richard Biles says the Bank of Jamaica sold US $365 million into the foreign exchange market between November 1 and January 31, 2026. He says US $87 million of that amount was sold to Petrojam, bringing total sales during the period to US $452 million. Speaking at the bank's quarterly media briefing on Tuesday, Mr. Biles noted that despite these sales, the bank actually brought more foreign currency than it sold. He said the BOJ purchased US $152 million more than it sold during the review period. The governor also disclosed that between January 2025 and January 2026, the bank sold US $1.1 billion to the market. However, Mr. Biles stressed that during the 12 months ending January 2026, the bank purchased US $991 million more than it sold, reflecting the country's strong foreign currency reserves. He says the bank's ability to sell US $1.1 billion over the last year was supported by those strong reserve levels. For the trading period of February 24, 2026, the most actively traded securities were Trans-Jamaica Highway Limited with 4,351,699 units, representing 23.49% of market sales activities. Lasco Manufacturing Limited, Jamaican dollar shares with 3,199,308 units representing 17.27% of market sales activities. Sagicor Select Funds Limited financial shares with 1,152,584 units representing 6.22% of market sales activities. Investor activity remained concentrated in transportation, financial and distribution plays, signaling continued interest in dividend-producing and strategic assets. Turning to the foreign exchange market based on Bank of Jamaica data for February 24, 2026, foreign exchange traders recorded significant activity with strong demand across major currencies. For the US dollar, trading margins reflected steady liquidity with the US selling at $156.93 and buying at $154.93. For the Canadian dollar, moderate gain supported by $1.35 transaction spreads. The Canadian dollar sold for $115.03 and was bought for $113.68. For the British pound, continued volatility offered short-term trading opportunities of $1.10 in profits for the banks. The British pound sold for $211.12 and was bought for $210.02. These movements underscore the importance of cash flow timing and currency awareness for businesses managing import costs, debt servicing, or overseas exposure. For the credit report tip of the day, when preparing to finance a fleet of vehicles, your credit report can play a practical role inside your business plan. Start by pulling your credit report and reviewing it the same way a lender would. In your plan, include a short section that summarizes key indicators from your report, whether this is your on-time payment history, how well you manage existing loan balances, and the length of your credit relationships. This helps demonstrate reliability and financial discipline. Then connect that information directly to the fleet strategy. For example, if your report shows strong installment loan performance, explain how that supports your ability to manage multiple vehicle payments. If your credit utilization is stable, highlight that it shows room to responsibly add financing. When approaching lenders, banks are essentially asking, does this borrower have a history that matches the scale of this opportunity? By positioning your credit report as evidence of financial management alongside projected revenue from the vehicles, you help lenders clearly see that the fleet is a structured business move, not just a dream. And that's today's business report. I'm Denise Williams, bringing clarity to capital, markets, and strategy. Until next time, stay informed, stay intentional, and keep building forward. See you soon.
In regional news, Caricom Chairman Dr. Terence Drew is urging regional leaders to rally behind Cuba, warning that instability there could destabilize the wider Caribbean. Speaking at the opening of the Caricom Heads of Government Summit, Dr. Drew called for urgent humanitarian attention as Cuba grapples with deepening economic and social challenges linked to renewed pressure from the United States.
A destabilized Cuba will destabilize all of us. Cuba's population is anywhere from 9 to 12 million people. Excluding Haiti, the rest of Caricom does not amount to 10 million people. Therefore, if a state within our community is so destabilized, it will affect all of us in the region. And as a matter of course, it is important that the community looks at the humanitarian issue in Cuba, treats it extremely seriously, and the community must serve as a conduit to ensure that there is communication and dialogue between the forces that be so that the best opportunity can be had.
Dr. Drew, who studied medicine in Cuba, spoke emotionally about conditions on the island.
Food has become terribly scarce for some. Access to water has been challenging. Garbage fill the streets. Houses without electricity. I can only feel the pain of those who treated me so well when I was a student. I can feel their challenges and their difficulties. I do not get involved in their politics, but as a matter of humanity, it is challenging.
He called on Caricom to serve as a conduit for dialogue and humanitarian support.
If ever there were a time to recommit ourselves to togetherness, it is now. If ever there was a time to recommit ourselves to togetherness, it is now.
Dr. Drew also pointed to the ongoing crises in Haiti, climate change, public health, and digital transformation as urgent regional priorities, stressing that collective action is the only path forward. St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister Dr. Godwin Friday is calling on Caribbean leaders to quicken the pace of regional integration, warning that the region faces mounting global and internal challenges. Addressing the opening of the 50th regular meeting of heads of government of Caricom, Dr. Friday pledged Kingstown's full commitment to strengthening the regional movement.
Friends, our persistence on the path of regionalism, no matter the challenges, is the best way forward. Let us strengthen our resolve about that. As I intimated above, I am committed to working alongside all of my colleagues, not merely out of sentimentalism, but also because there is no better alternative that I can think of for my country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And indeed, I believe, for all of us.
He acknowledged past tensions within the bloc, but stressed that Caricom's survival proves its necessity.
In the current global realities, we need each other more than ever. If we do not continue to strive together and pool our limited power and resources, we cannot hope to withstand the increasing political and economic headwinds and deliver better living standards for our people. That is the central value of our integration movement.
He urged leaders to focus on practical solutions, from boosting trade and closing skills gaps to tackling climate change, strengthening regional security, and addressing crises in Haiti and Cuba.
But please, let us quicken the pace. The road ahead may be arduous and full of obstacles, but it is a viable path, made even more certain when we decide to walk together. When we hold our neighbor's hand now, we make the journey easier and safer for those who follow.
Dr. Friday says deeper engagement with Caribbean citizens will be critical to ensuring the credibility and future relevance of the regional integration movement. In sports, a memorandum of understanding has been signed between Montego Bay Multi-Sports Development and the St. James Municipal Council for the refurbishment and expansion of the Montego Bay Sports Complex. The agreement signed Tuesday at the St. James Municipal Council establishes a 25-year lease arrangement with major expansion works expected within the first 2 to 5 years at a projected cost exceeding $1 billion Jamaican dollars. Mayor of Montego Bay, Richard Vernon, says that the timeline outlined in the MOU could see the return of football to the facility within 6 to 12 months. Plans also include the construction of a swimming pool, resurfacing of the all-weather 400-meter track, development of racket sport courts, and expanded seating capacity. The mayor expressed confidence that the investment will pave the way for the return of major sporting events to the city, including the Western Relays, and position Montego Bay to host regional championships. And that's the news on PBCJ. Thanks for watching.